Well, welcome everybody. Hall 9 Roman Ball Talk. We got episode 10, I believe. We are talking unwritten rules of baseball. Kind of a fun topic, something that's, we haven't really done anything where we haven't talked about actual skill in the game. We're talking more about things that happen in the game that maybe not everybody knows why they're happening or understands, and should be a fun topic.
Yeah, I'm glad we get a little lighthearted this week and not so serious about skill stuff. But
Yeah.
this was brought to me. I got to give a shout out to Earl Callender. He was the one who recommended that we talk a little bit about the unwritten rules and give some of the young kids an insight as to what to listen to, what to not listen to, and the gray area in between.
But before we get started, I think we need to talk about this. There was, it's not really an unwritten rule, but it's like an unwritten how baseball will slap you right back into reality really, really fast. 2 nights ago, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., probably one of my favorite guys to watch hit. 4 for 4, 3 home runs. Last night, 0 for 4, 4 strikeouts.
Oh.
Crazy. You go from the best game you've ever had in your entire life. It was the first time he had a 3 home run game, I think. I think it was his second time he ever had a 4-hit game. Probably shows up to the park yesterday feeling like on top of the world. And then you get 4 strikeouts. It's just...
You wonder what that scouting report the next morning was, right? Don't do what you did yesterday to him. Throw him something different.
Well, he hit the outside pitch out of the park. He hit a ball off the plate inside out of the park. So they were like, you know what? Let's just not throw him anything. And then he struck out 4 times. So, but
hey,
the crazy thing
right,
is I bet you he shows up tonight and he has a good game. He won't let it affect him.
Well, that's the cool thing about playing professional baseball is you play every day. So you get tomorrow, as long as the sun comes up, you get tomorrow and you can wash it away.
Yeah, exactly. But that's a one I want to talk about because baseball will humble you very, very fast, no matter who you are. So it's kind of a cool situation.
As soon as you think you got it figured out, it lets you know that you don't.
It lets you know, nope, this game's not that easy.
Right.
You want to lead us off with a unwritten rule?
Yeah, I figured we could start out a little bit lighter and then move into some of the heavy stuff. But one of the first ones that I got sent over was don't step on the mound. Unless you're the pitcher, obviously.
Unless you're the pitcher.
You're running out to your position or coming back in. Don't step on the mound. You ever step on the mound?
I never really knew that was a rule, but I never stepped on it. Unless there was a mound visit, then I would walk up or whatever. But pitchers are such creatures of habit and such a lot of times perfectionists that if you mess up their little workspace, I feel like it really affects them. And I played with some guys like that in high school. And I think from high school on was when I was all right, I'm not going to touch that mound because I don't want to mess with their mentality because I stepped where they want to land their foot or something like that. So
right.
That's a fun one.
They get pretty mad if you get up there and try and pretend like you're going to throw a pitch or something and dig their hole. You dig their hole out, they're going to lose it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I get it. You're spending a lot of time on that mound. That's where you're making your money. So I understand not messing with somebody else's business there.
Hey, you know that they got no problem stepping in the box and digging a hole in there, though.
Oh, yeah. That's because they think every pitcher thinks that they're going to come up and just drop absolute tanks. So they're like, I'm going to dig in. I got this. I'm going to show these position players how it's done.
Hey, side note to that, I saw Daniel Norris when I was with the Tigers, steps up for his first at bat ever in the big leagues and goes deep to center field on the first swing. Yeah.
He's so look, guys,
I know.
It's that easy.
It's so easy. What's wrong with you guys?
I feel like a lot of times those guys have success because they just go up there and they just swing it. They have no care. They're not worried if they get out. They're expected to get out. So all that pressure of, am I going to get out, just goes away and they end up having success. They're like, wow, this is so easy.
Right? Like we try and tell everybody, play carefree and it's a lot easier.
It's a lot easier.
Another one along those lines with the pitchers, they have their own seat on the bench.
Yes.
and they like to keep everything exactly. They got their towel, they got their water, they got their little spot, and nobody's allowed to sit in it.
Usually you can't even talk to them. Like, don't even like look at them when you walk through there. Just
Yep.
let them
There's a
be.
lot of guys that don't talk at all when they pitch.
No, they're in the zone.
Nice. You got one?
Yeah, let's stay on the pitcher topic. Don't let the pitcher catch a pop fly.
Oh, I at all costs I will do what I can, but you always have those select few that are, I got it, and you're like, just let us do it, get out of the way, you
I
know.
feel like this is one of those ones where you just got to know your audience a little bit. Like, you need to know who's pitching. If you got an athletic guy on the mound and it's an easy pop fly to him, I say let him catch it. But if he's got to go backwards off the mound, I don't care who it is, don't let him catch it because that's really hard
Yeah,
coming down off the mound backwards trying to catch a fly ball. But if
yeah,
it's like an easy pop fly in front of him and he's a good athlete, which most pitchers they say they're good athletes and you are, but you're good at pitching. But if they are like a legit, really, really good athlete, I'll let them catch it.
yeah. And usually it's the soft one that the third baseman or first baseman can't get to. But
Yeah.
how about this? Have you heard when you go to the batter's box, you walk behind the catcher, you never walk in front of the catcher?
I that's another one of those ones where I never like knew that was an unwritten rule, but I always did it. And I think I did it because I like to get behind the umpire and then like take a practice swing. Not behind the umpire, but like as I'm walking over, and like obviously you're not going to take a practice swing in the box.
Right.
So I'd walk around him to give myself room to where I could take my practice swing and step in. But that's a funny one. Do catchers really get mad about that?
I don't know. I don't know if the catchers get mad or anybody. It was said to me by like a fan, and I was like, I never really thought about that. And then as I started thinking about it, I was like, I don't ever walk in front of the catcher. It just feels awkward, I guess.
Yeah,
I
it
don't know.
does feel awkward. Maybe it's one of those things too where it's like you don't want to walk in front of them because you don't want to like mess up home plate. Like you don't want to accidentally kick dirt on home plate or
Yeah,
something. Like I don't. That's an interesting one, but I'm gonna watch some baseball and see if I notice anybody
yeah.
walking in front of
I know.
home
I saw
plate.
people. I saw people do it. I think that one's a little, like I said, a little more lighthearted. Like nobody's gonna throw a baseball at you if you do that type of
No.
unwritten rule. So
Yeah. Let me see here. This is an interesting one. Never put the tying run or winning run on base.
right. See, now we're getting into game strategy. So I obviously you never want to do that, but if Barry Bonds is the guy who's hitting, you might want to do that. You
Yeah.
know, you got a chance that he's. I mean, that guy got walked with bases loaded. So
Do you remember who Nick Evans was? He played in the big leagues a little bit with the
yeah,
Mets. So we played against him in high school all the time. And his team wasn't very good. They had Brian Mattis on their team as well, lefty pitcher. But those two were the only Brian Mattis played in the big leagues with the Orioles for a little bit. Those two were like the only like decent or good players on their team. Every time Nick Evans came up with somebody on base, we would walk him. We walked him twice with bases loaded one season because we were like, we'll go ahead and give them one run, which is better than them getting four because he's going to hit a home run. Like he was just one of those dudes who you knew was going to hit a home run. So yeah, I think there's definitely a time and place to walk the tying or winning run and put them
yeah.
on base. But
I think as you get older, it kind of goes away because everybody's pretty good at hitting. Once
yeah,
you get to the upper levels and then you get to the big leagues, like even if you go to the next guy, there's a good chance that he's going to get a hit too because he's a good hitter. But at a young age, you'll probably see it more.
yeah, I'd say like up through the high school level, you're going to see it a little bit more. I think we got Drew Macias in here. Drew, do you have any unwritten rules? Put them down in the chat. Drew played for the Padres. I believe Drew got his first career home run, first hit of his career at Wrigley Field.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
First hit was a home run.
First hit was a home run, I believe, at Wrigley Field.
That's sick.
Crazy.
That's cool. All right, how about don't if an adult catches a fly ball or a foul ball, the rule is you got to give it away to the kid sitting next to you.
You got to give it away. You have to give it away to a kid.
Any adults watching right now, if you hear this, you're going to hear it in the back of your head when you catch a foul ball. You better give that ball to a kid.
You have to. I don't care what the situation is. I don't care who hit it. You're giving that ball to a kid because it means 1,000 times more to that kid than it will ever to you.
Right.
That will make that little kid's complete week right there getting the ball at a baseball game. Kids live for that.
Absolutely. All right, what do you got?
I got a don't yell at a defender while he's trying to catch a pop fly,
Right.
which
You're
is
going you're going back to A-Rod right there.
yeah, like whacking the ball out of the guy's glove.
Yeah, going next, running by him as a base runner and yelling, "I got it."
Oh yeah, yeah, I remember that one too. Yeah,
That
don't
see
don't be
now
doing that.
now we're getting see you crossed that line. I have a little line on my note card right there, and you crossed that line into now we're talking about when people get mad on the other team, and this is where where problems arise. So it gets into that gray area of we're not just fun anymore. Now we're like you're messing with the game and you're messing
Yeah.
with the outcome of a game. So
Well,
obviously
and
that's a no in my book.
yeah, and when you're in a big stadium with lots of crowd noise as it is, if you're a fielder and you hear something and you're like I say you're the second baseman, the shortstop's got priority over you on the fly ball, so maybe you think it's the shortstop yelling for it and you get out of the way, and now all of a sudden that ball drops. Like you're messing with people's livelihood right there. You know, it's a big deal. So
Absolutely.
it's
Definitely.
gonna piss some people off, I'm sure.
Here's another one along those. No pimping home runs too much, right? See, I have to say too much because it happens a lot nowadays. But nobody was throwing baseballs at Reggie Jackson when he was throwing his bat into the dugout after hitting a home run. So
Yeah, I you know, I think you got to admire your work a little bit. If you absolutely hit a tank, like there's nothing wrong with sitting there and watching it for a few good seconds. Like maybe not 10 seconds, but hit it, admire it, maybe a little bat toss, be on your way.
I think
And you can take a slow jog. I'm down with
yeah,
a slow
absolutely.
jog.
Hey, you earn the right to take as slow a jog as you want, right? You hit
Yeah.
it out, you don't have to run. But I think the intent is what comes into play on this one. Is your intent to show up the other team, to throw your bat and look in their dugout, maybe talk a little junk to the pitcher or something? I think that one's pushing it. But if you're having fun and it's like boisterous excitement, then that's a totally different thing.
I think it's fun. I think if it's a little heated, like if it's, big situation, maybe it's a rivalry. Um, I'm never for like pointing at the other dugout or looking at the dugout, but I get emotions get a little high, and sometimes you hit a big time home run, and you're like, hey, that's what you guys get. You
Yeah,
deserve it. And so I think there's a time and place for everything. If the pitcher's one of those guys who yells and screams and shoots the bow and arrow after every strikeout, like I might pimp it a little bit harder off of you if I hit a home run.
you're just giving it back to them, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not mad at him. Like, hey, shoot your bow and arrow. Like, great, you struck me out. You can celebrate it, but if I have success and I celebrate, don't get pissed off.
Exactly. I mean,
So
that's a great point. Like, you got to know your audience, and that's if they're being boisterous, then I don't see why you couldn't also. As long as you
yeah,
don't take it over the top, or you have mal intent towards somebody, and it just gets to a unsavory point of view from the fans and the baseball just in general doesn't really like that. So,
yeah, yeah.
but I want to preface before we go any further into this, I I'm sure you're on the same page as me when it comes to this. We're not talking about somebody does something like this and then we throw baseballs at them.
No,
I
no.
I don't think that there's ever really a situation where it's necessary to throw a baseball at somebody. There's too many things that can go wrong, and I always my final argument to this, because I've gone back and forth with teammates of my own in the big leagues about it. You got to protect your teammates. You got to do all that. At a young age, absolutely not. We're not throwing baseballs at people. There's no reason to. But it gets into that area of, well, how do you handle it? I just think, bottom line, if I was pitching and somebody did something like that and I threw a baseball at them, and let's say I hit him in the eye or I hit him in the neck or something, like what if they lose an eye, and you're the reason that that person doesn't get to play baseball ever again or
Right.
make a living for the family. Let's say, well, I mean, what if you, God forbid, you hit somebody in a place where it paralyzes them, or even worse than that. Like it just gets to a place in my mind where it's not necessary just because somebody did something offensive, you really don't need to do something like that because there could be a terrible outcome.
Absolutely. And one of the rules I had written down is when throwing at somebody, aim below the head. And when I read that rule online, I was like we shouldn't even be throwing at anybody anyways, and if you are going to throw at somebody, it should be below the waist because there's so many, like you're
Oh,
saying, areas where you can get hit in the upper body that can be devastating. And to go back to like what you were saying, somebody getting hurt, Bryce Harper got hit by a pitch, runs out that time where he threw his helmet at the pitcher. Some guy from the bullpen who was just coming in because when there's a bench clearing brawl, you have to come in, like you have to charge in. Some guy who was running in ends up hitting heads with some guy, and that like ended his career. It gave him like some
yep.
serious head injury. He
Michael
wasn't
Morris.
even involved in it. He was a bullpen guy that day who had nothing to do with the situation, and his big league career's over because that pitcher on the mound threw at Bryce Harper, and Bryce Harper retaliated by running out there, throwing his helmet, and
Right.
And those bench clearing brawls. Thankfully, I've been in two of them, and they weren't brawls. They were more like bench clearing, like let's all go out and like huddle around and look at each other and that kind of stuff. But they're not fun to be a part of. Like you do not want to be out there when you've got like 15, 20 guys running around and you don't know where a punch might be coming from. Like that's a bad position to be in.
I've been in a few. One very notable one, and
Yes.
it was not very exciting. But we'll save that for another time. I don't want to talk about that right now.
Yeah,
All right,
that was a wild one. I know what you're talking
so so no stealing up by too much, and no bunting up by too much. What's your take on this?
I'm good with those. And again, it's like at the big league level, maybe I don't know what too much is at the big league level because everybody's a professional out there. At like the high school level, if you're playing like a really bad team and they legit just can't throw you out, like you have no business stealing at that point. If you're up by a lot, I don't think. The big league level, I think there's always, it's competitive unless they've got a pitcher or a position player on the mound who's just lobbing the ball in there. I mean, you're trying to get healthy with your stats, and those stats could mean difference between you making an extra $500,000 the next year or not. So,
Or keeping your job, period.
yeah, exactly.
I
So,
I agree with you 100% at the young age. That to me, there's no reason, to embarrass a team when they physically can't compete with you.
right.
You get to a comfortable lead and you keep it comfortable. Like you
Yeah.
don't want them to be able to get back in the game, obviously, because the objective is to win. So, but at the big league level, and I've had a lot of disagreements about this one, but I always say if you can't play your hardest all 9 innings at the highest level of baseball in the world, in the MLB, then where are you allowed to, right?
Right.
And don't get me wrong, like I'm not trying to embarrass people, but also keep in mind those guys coming in and pitching, they're not taking it easy on you.
No.
And then take into consideration, well, you don't tell hitters to stop swinging for home runs, right? But you tell bunters to stop bunting to get on. Well, now you're taking away part of somebody's game. That's how they play baseball.
Right.
Like you said, if you're not trying anymore, go put a position player out there and we won't do it to him.
Yeah.
But if you're putting a legitimate pitcher out with legitimate fielders on the field, then it's the big leagues, bro. Like if you don't like it, play better, right?
Right. And what people don't understand is, and I haven't been through this because I didn't play in the big leagues, but when you come up on like your arbitration year, the way you get your contracts a lot of times is you're putting your stats versus other guys who are similar stats, and that's how you get your contract. That's how they decide, hey, this is what you're actually worth. So, a couple extra stolen bases and a couple extra hits because you got bunt hits could like I said earlier, be the difference between a couple $100,000 to a couple $1 million potentially.
Right.
So
Or swinging 3-0. I mean, we saw it. I think it was last year when it was a big deal for some reason when the Urininator comes up and swings 3-0, hits a home run, and everybody's pissed off at him because they're winning by too much. And he's like, dude, I worked the count to a 3-0 count, and now I'm supposed to let him back in this? Like,
yeah.
I agreed with him. I disagreed with the way that they told him he was wrong, and people were getting on him. Tatis did it last year. They
See,
were getting,
I hated that when Tatis hit that home run. There was a grand slam, I think, 3-0. And then I think was it Moustakis? It was somebody came over to the dugout and was like explaining to him why he
Hosmer.
should do that.
Yeah, Hosmer.
Oh, Hosmer, yeah.
See,
So
but
now it's like you just had a grand slam, like a young kid, a great moment in his career, and now you're going to sit there and tell him that he was wrong for doing his job. Like that's his job.
It's
his
tough
job is to
because
drive guys in.
there's a lot of egos, and there's a lot of opinions about your team looks bad, this looks bad, and I always go back to, look, if you don't want guys to hit home runs, then don't go 3-0. You know what I mean? Like it's not their job to take pitches for you just because you're not having a good day. This is the highest level. Again, this is the highest level in the world. This is the only place that you're allowed to have no mercy. And
I've never once. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and have you ever seen a team come back down 10?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a team come back down 15?
It happens.
And what if you missed the playoffs by 1 game or 2 games that year because you let a team back in because you weren't playing hard through the whole game? I just disagree. I think defense should be up in for a bunt on guys. I think catchers should be ready to throw people out. I think they should hold runners on. I don't understand why they change how you play. And if I ever manage anything ever, I'll probably get crap for it. Like, because I'm just going to play hard, and I'm not going to tell people not to play hard.
Right. The whole not swinging 3-0 thing is wild to me because no pitcher's going to go 0-2 and be like, I'm going to throw this guy a ball.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to let this count get to 1-2, kind of let him back in this.
Yeah.
No chance.
You're never gonna have, hey, you're telling me I can't bunt anymore and I can't steal. How about when you guys are up by too much, you can't throw curveballs?
Yeah.
No more
all
curveballs.
Fastballs right down the middle.
It's crazy. You got any more heated ones?
I got don't steal on a 3-0 count.
Yeah, well, that's game strategy to me. You got, statistically speaking, if you're letting your hitter swing, he's going to swing at a good pitch and he's probably going to hit it hard, or he's just going to take it for a ball. So you're going to get walked.
So I think it was 2009, 2010, spring training. I got called up to go to the big league game, and I'm on the bus. I think we're going to play the Cardinals or something. And Sean Rodriguez is there, and he's like, hey, Madden's got this new thing this year in spring training where if you're on first base and the batter's got 3-0 count, he wants a stealing every time. And I'm like, all right, this doesn't sound legit, but this is Sean Rodriguez telling me this. Okay. So the more and more I'm thinking about this, I'm like, this dude's got to be lying to me. Thankfully, I didn't start this game. And there was a guy in first base at the third inning with a 3-0 count. And he didn't steal, and nobody said anything to him. So I was like, that dude was trying to set me up. He was trying to make me look like an idiot.
Oh, man. I love Sean, too. I played with him in Philly and Anaheim with the Angels.
Yeah. He was such a good dude. He was one of those dudes that every time I would go up to a big league game, he would talk with me. He would have a legit get to know you type conversation. He wasn't too cool for school. He was a good dude.
Yeah.
I liked him a lot.
All right, I got a couple insight ones into the behind the scenes of the big leagues here. So I just wanted to drop a couple. Not too much, just a little insight. Veterans get their first choice of seats on the bus and the plane. That's an unwritten rule. And
I'm good with that.
That'll get taken out on you secretly later. They won't even let you know at the time. They'll come back. If you break any one of these ones that I'm saying right now, they'll come back and they'll let you know in a way that's playful, but not so playful for you. More so for everybody else.
Are there any retaliations you can share? Are they not suitable for
So
outside
there
of the
was
clubhouse.
this wasn't taking anybody's seat, but I'm going to reserve what he did. But this was a Trout story, and Trout didn't do something that he did something that Weaver didn't like very much. So Weaver takes his phone number, puts it up on the big screen in a spring training game, and says, "If you have any questions, call Mike Trout at this number." It was his real number, and he had to change his phone number that week because it was mayhem. He
Oh
came the
my
next day
gosh.
like he was like head down, like it's not even funny, man. This is out of hand right now. Like you don't even know what's happening on my phone.
It probably never stopped ringing.
What's that?
It probably never stopped ringing.
No. I
Like,
mean, his message box was full within minutes, so
oh my
was
gosh.
it was pretty comical. And he was still a rookie at the time, so it was early on. But here's another one. If you're a rookie, you got to show up earlier than everybody else. If you got older guys showing up at a certain time, you better be there before them.
You better hope you're not playing with Manny Ramirez though, because I remember going to spring training and that dude being in the cage at like 4:30 a.m. hitting.
Yeah,
I was
dude.
like,
I
what?
had
Like,
in spring, I had in the cage ready for swings at 6 a.m. and we didn't start spring training practice until like 10, 9.
yeah,
And you go, you do your work early, and then you sit around for 3 hours. But everybody else has to get their stuff in too. And Albert Pujols is not showing up at 6 a.m. to do swings. He's getting his swings in at 8:30, and then we have our meeting at 9.
yeah, yeah.
So you kind of have to find your slot here and figure it out. And if you don't have a couple years in, then your slot is 6 a.m. or earlier, man.
But you know what? You're thankful for that 6 a.m. slot.
I would have done it at 4. I would have done it if they called me at 2 in the morning. It didn't matter. You're lucky to be there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. If they're going to be there to help you out a little bit and you're getting some big league time, hey, I'll be there anytime you want me.
Yeah. Same goes for the training room, things like that. So
Yep.
get your work in early so everybody else can get theirs in after.
Yep.
But that's all I got right now, man. That was most of the ones that I wrote down. I'm sure we'll get some more later, and then we could probably do another one of these, a second episode 2 of this.
Yeah, because I still got probably like 6 or 7 that we didn't talk about, so we could definitely do a part 2.
Okay. Awesome.
Well, appreciate everybody joining again. If you guys got questions, comments, anything you guys want us to talk about, leave them in the comments section. Send us a DM, whatever you want. We got lots of topics to talk about, but we also want to talk about what you guys want to talk about. So let us know. Thanks for joining, and
everybody have Easter.
Yeah, happy Easter, dude. I don't even know what day it is, to be honest with you. Like,
you don't sleep anymore because you got a newborn. So,
dude, she only woke up once last night to feed. She woke up at we went to bed I think at 11. She woke up at 3. She fed, changed her diaper, woke up again at 8. It was the best thing ever. Like, I feel like a whole new man today.
Just like an extra hour, and you're like, I could do anything now.
Yeah, I'm on top of the world. I'm ready to take on anything. Might even work out today.
I love it. Give her some love from the Romines.
Absolutely. You tell the fam I said hello as well, and can't wait to see you, little Adeline, again.
Awesome. We'll get together. I hear her. She's chirping in the corner right now.
All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your.
Come here. Maddie wanted to say hi.
Maddie, say hi.
Who's that?
Oh, hi.
Who is that?
Maddie.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. How are you? How are you, sweetie? You got the best smile I've ever seen. That is such a pretty smile.
Can you tell Maddie Happy Easter?
Hi, Easter.
Happy Easter. What do you got there?
Coin.
Your coin bag? Are you rich?
Oh,
you got lots of coins?
Coins, so they don't mess them. You have to go get them.
Okay, go.
Yeah, you gotta go get them. She is so sweet.
All right, dude. Have a good weekend. Happy Easter, everybody.
Happy Easter. See you guys later.